In honor and memory of Nipsey, I'd like for us to just have a few seconds of silence to honor him. Thank you. So without further ado, Mr. Michael Ducille. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, thank you. So I decided to, and I'll let you guys know a little bit about me, but the first thing I did was I sent Professor Conway a picture. Actually had an opportunity to meet me and one of my coaches, one of my mentors. We had an opportunity to meet Ducille, so I sent her this picture, and I just wanted to show her that yes, I was a fan of his music, yes, but just a fan of the person. So that was what I did want to send. But can you do my setup properly? Thank you. So the first thing I kind of wanted to do is thank Professor Conway for having me, so I do appreciate it. Thank you, Professor Quinones? Professor David, and students, I got you guys out of class, so you can thank me later, no problem. But one of the first things that I thought about when I was preparing for this was, over a decade ago, I was in your seats. The reality was I was sitting in a public speaking class, and I said to myself, I actually don't want to do this class. I don't want to do it. My advisor told me, no, this is one of the prerequisites, so I kind of have to do it for me to kind of move on. Anybody else like that? That's okay. Don't worry, the professors won't tell you. And that's real, right? So when I took this public speaking class, and I did it at the University of South Florida, in Tampa, Florida, I knew that my purpose of taking this class was just so I can do something different, do something else, right? I didn't enjoy speaking. I didn't think I was this great speaker, nor did I feel comfortable or confident speaking in front of people. That was never my gift. That was never something that I thought I could do. But as I started to go through this class, I noticed something, and I noticed the person that I was starting to become. In high school, my first 3 years of high school, I was in the top 10 percentile as far as my GPA, my grade point average. I was in the top 10 percentile. And by my senior year of high school, I went from in the top 10%, and I ended up finishing in the 19th or 20th percentile. Meaning my last year of high school, I didn't care. It didn't matter to me. I said, I got into the college I wanted to, there's nothing that I need to do. So I fast forward, I get into college, I'm extremely excited. I move away from home, I'm 3 or 4 hours, I'm on my own. First 3 years of college, GPA was phenomenal. Guess what happened my last year of college? I didn't get kicked out, but my GPA dropped. And I started to notice a pattern. And my mentor used to always say to me, how you do one thing is how you do everything. That's just life. How you do one thing in life is how you do everything. So when I got into the real world and I started working, I was really excited to get my first job. And after this one took me a few months this time, not a few years. After a few months, I stopped caring again. So I was going on a cycle of going kind of up, having these highs and having these lows. If you're honest with yourself and if you're honest with who you are, you notice in life you're gonna have these highs and lows all the time. And that's exactly what I had. So when I was sitting in basically your very seats in class, in each and every class that I did, I was having really good moments and I was having really bad moments. And something stuck out to me, what one of my coaches told me. He said, you're living your life right now on autopilot. Some people call it automatic. Some people, but you're basically zoning in one place. And I'm gonna give you a great example. This is where you are currently, right? Currently, this is where you are. Whatever your goals, aspirations, your desires are, is over here. This is where you want to be. So in between that, there's a gap there, right? There's something there that's missing. And it's your job to figure out, hey, what's missing right now? What am I currently missing to why I'm not where I want to be currently? Why don't I have the grades I have? Why don't I have the relationships I want? What is missing in that space that you're not where you need to be? And I had to analyze what that looked like for me. And I realized that I was just kind of living life. So when things were good, it was good. And after a certain while, it kind of went back down. So a good example of autopilot. Let's see. Who here knows their alphabets? ABCs? Nobody?
Know your alphabets?
Nobody knows the alphabet? What's your name? we're in a public speaking class or speech class, whichever one you're in, can you kind of just say the alphabet for me? Yeah. They can't hear you.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y,
Does that sound right?
Z.
That sounded right? Sweet, so we know that you know your alphabet, right? That's just automatic for you. Now I want you to do it again, but do from Z to A. It's a little bit tougher, right? Can anybody do from Z to A? Why? It's not math. You guys know A through Z, right? That comes normal for you. But if I say do something a little differently, a little switch to go from Z to A, nothing different. I'm not telling you to skip letters. I'm telling you to go from Z to A instead of A through Z. No one can do it. Exactly, because you're on audience. Because you know it that way, it's just that's the only way you see things. That's the only way you see things, and that's how life looks like. If you see things one way, then you leave no opportunity to learn anything a different way. It's absolutely impossible. So as I started to get coaching and I started to try to figure out, hey, where is my gaps and what am I missing? Why do I look at things linear? I started to get counsel and get coaching, and I came up with what's called D.I.P. Right? And I'm going to go through can you go to the next slide? So before I go into it, I'm going to show you what's happened in 2018. So 2018, I created a podcast that's doing very well. I came out with a motivational album, 1% Mindset Presents You versus You, and the book, 1% Mindset, Survive and Thrive in the Face of Adversity. So this happened all within 2018. I did each of them within between 1 and 3 months. It took me to do it. And most people say, yo, that's great, right? You have all these accomplishments, you did all of these things. But for me, it wasn't that big of a deal because I said I was going to do it. I decided it's important for me to be of my word. If I said I'm going to do something, then I'm going to get it done. How often, and I want you to catch this, how often do you say, hey, I'm going to do something, and you don't do it? Let's see. I like using people interaction. What's your name?
Me?
Yeah, let's go with you. Yeah, what's your name?
Layla.
Layla. Do you know anybody here in this class?
Yeah.
Who do you know?
Honestly, all the people in my class.
Okay, so if somebody in your class then said, hey, I'm gonna be late, can you pick up this book for me and meet me in class? Would you get that done? Would you do that for them?
Yeah.
Right, because you are of your word, correct?
Right.
So let me ask you a question. Give me one of your New Year's resolutions that you had this year. Just give me one.
Do well in school.
Okay, do well in school. How do you feel you're doing in school?
I think I'm doing well.
As well as you want to?
Not 100%, but I think I'm doing
So
well.
you're not 100% to your word, correct?
Right.
I mean, but it's something to look at, right? It's something to look because we value so much our worth to other people, but we don't keep it to ourselves. There's a ton of people that I know that go to the gym or who started going to the gym in January and stopped going to the gym by February or March. And that's real. But they can go and they'll do all these things for other people and be of their word to other people, but you're not going to be of your word to yourself. You're not going to do what you said you're going to do for you. And if you can't do what you said you're going to do for you, how can I trust you to do anything else? How can I trust you? And it's something for you to look at there, and it's a space for you to really analyze and say, what am I missing? So I came up with D. Can you go to the next one? So the first one is discipline. That's the first one. And if you take a look at it, I just screenshotted the Webster's or the Merriam-Webster's definition, and it says control gained by enforcing obedience, orderly or prescribed conduct pattern or behavior. See self-control. I want to focus on the self-control side because I think that's an important side for you guys to take in. Right? The idea of discipline. Let me put this mic down so I'm not using it. But the idea of discipline is doing what you said you're going to do long after the mood went away. Being true to what you said you're going to do no matter the situation. Because the reason why people go on these highs and lows. You can feel really good at one point, then you start crashing is because you're not true to your word. But discipline says, even when I don't feel like doing it, I'm gonna do it no matter what because I said I was going to. And if you can't be disciplined in anything that you want to do, that's the number one key to success, is discipline. And we lack it, right? So when I'm speaking to you, I'm not speaking to you individually, I'm speaking to me. I'm speaking to everyone. Because in order for you to be truly talented, truly gifted, truly the 1% mindset, as I call it, you have to be disciplined. People sit here, and I told you, over 10 years ago, I was in a public speaking class, and I sat here and I didn't care. I just did what I needed to do to get by. I didn't take what my professors were offering me seriously because it wasn't that important. Until I realized how I did one thing is how I did everything. How you do one thing is how you do everything. And until you can break that cycle, until you can give you 100% in everything you do, then that's where you're going to fail at everything. It's that simple. So as I was going through being disciplined, I'll give you a quick story. My coach, my mentor, the person I've been working with for the last 2 years, he said, Mike, you're doing okay, but I want you to get really, solid. He said, I need you to go to the gym. That's what he told me. So about 2 years ago, I was about 15 pounds thinner than I am, right? So he's like, you look frail. Like he gave it to me real, right? He's like, you're kind of frail. I need you to get to the gym. I was like, all right, I can go to the gym. The problem with the gym was I hated it because at the time I was real weak. I had my somebody I was talking to at the time, my ex-girlfriend. She used to go to the gym, and I went with her one time, and she was like out squatting me, she was doing everything better than me. I was like, yo, I'm not going to the gym. Like, it's not gonna embarrass me. But he said, no, you need to get disciplined. You need to go to the gym. I said, okay. The second thing he said was not just that, you should go at 5 a.m. It's like 5 a.m. Anybody who's up at 5 a.m. every day, Monday through Friday? Is it because you have to? Because you have to be. Because you have to be? Because you have to be. If you didn't have to be up at 5 a.m., would you get up?
That's what I'm saying. Like, my brain's naturally on autopilot like that. I don't know why, but I naturally pick up at 5.
And you stay up?
Yeah.
What are you doing when you're up at 5 a.m.?
I stare at my ceiling.
There you go, right? So he told me in order for you to be disciplined and to really be focused, I want you to get up. Not only, I don't want you just to go to the gym, but I want you to get up. I don't want you to go to the gym, but I want you to go at 5 a.m. Why? Because it sucks. Right? I don't have to be up I have to actually get up at 4:30 to get there at 5. But I don't have to get up at 4:30. There's no reason for me to be up at 4:30. But because psychologically it puts me in a space where it's uncomfortable, I knew that was where I had to grow. That's where I had to grow. And I understood the importance of being of my word through that process. So 5 a.m. So then, once I started doing that, it started to become habitual. Then I started to say, okay, I'm going to the gym. I'll tell you what that did for me, what the gym did for me, and what being of your word and being disciplined will do for you. So I started to, when I was doing that a couple of years ago, I remember I used to have meetings with big clients, and when I would meet with them, I would be intimidated. I would feel intimidated. Why? Either because they made more money, they were a supervisor, whatever that looked like. It's kind of like anybody who goes on a job interview, why you're nervous, right, when you're speaking to somebody. The problem I had was I would speak to somebody that in reality is my equal, but because I wasn't confident, because I knew whether they made more money, they had a higher position, what that looked like, I automatically got nervous. When I started to go to the gym, in my head, I looked at the person, I'm like, it's not that serious, right? You don't work as hard as me. You're not up at 4:30 every morning. You're not grinding like I am. So when I'm going and I'm meeting with anybody, I can look at you as my equal, or to be honest, I look at you a little bit like less than, right? But it's psychological, and not in a bad way, but in a space where I'm confident speaking, right? So there's no interview if I ever wanted to go on one, or no person that will ever intimidate me when I'm speaking because of the level of confidence that I possess because I did something as simple as going to the gym every morning at 5 a.m. and was consistent in doing that. That was just one of the things that I did consistently, and that gave me a whole different perspective. I like to be free. I want to give you an example. So one of the main things, or something that people ask me on interviews, and I also coach and I also help people with job readiness and doing interviews. Someone can ask you, if you're going on an interview and I said to you, hey, tell me a little bit about yourself. So one of the number one things that I got when I was coaching people on it, they had a problem telling me about them. They had a problem telling me about them. That's a question that interviewers will ask. Hey, well, so tell me a little bit about you and who you are. And people are fumbling on information about them because they're so nervous and trying to replay like, hey, what's the best answer? And that shouldn't matter because nobody knows you better than you. If you have a little brother, little sister, kid, sibling, if they ask you, hey, who are you? Tell me a little bit about you. You can write it off. This, and like it's nothing. Discipline gives you that. It gives you the confidence because you understand that because I'm my word and I do what I say I'm going to do, I know that 99% of the people aren't doing that. They're not. That's why there's people who don't, stop going to the gym. That's why there's people who don't do what they say they're going to do. The second thing is impact, right? The I is impact. One of my favorite quotes is by Jim Rohn. He said, find a way to serve the many. Service to many leads to greatness. Zig Ziglar also said, you get all you want out of life by helping others get what they want. Why do I say it? The idea is when you help enough people get what they want, when you help serve enough people, automatically the law of reciprocation is it will come back to you. It's the impact, right? The impact that you have on people. That's why when you go and you watch all of these people say R.I.P. Nipsey, you see people from all walks of life. It's just not hip hop artists. Before Nipsey's death, he didn't even reach #1 on any major Billboard charts. A lot of people never even heard his music. And that's the reality. I was a fan, yes, but there's a lot of people who never even heard of him, right? As far as the general public. But there's so many people who are impacted by the things he did outside of music in his community. That's the impact that he had. What are you trying to leave on this earth? What are you trying to leave? You can walk around and you can just live on autopilot and be comfortable, or you can say, hey, I'm here. What kind of legacy do I want to leave? What does my last name mean to me? What does it mean? It's something that you got to kind of evaluate and really think about, because impact is extremely important. Without impact, your living is worthless. And that's the truth. If you live for you and no one else, it doesn't matter. But understand that there's someone that's watching you. Who has any little siblings? Sweet. My man up there with the hat. What's your name?
What's up?
Bassam? Okay, you have a little brother or a little sister?
I got both.
Both. Okay. So, when you were growing, did you live with them growing up? Were you the oldest? So you're the oldest. Well, you have older ones, but you had younger ones. Okay. So I'm going to give you a good example. How often did your little brother or your little sister, when you were growing up, mimic or do exactly what you did? They were following you. Like, what does that look? They never did that. Oh, many times, right? Great. So growing up, I was a big fan of like WWF. It was probably like before you. I don't even know if it's called WWF while you guys were watching it. Who knows? But my sister, my little sister, she used to do everything that I used to do. I used to like wrestle her, do all these moves. That's when The Rock was big and Stone Cold. So we used to like jump around on the bed. We used to give her like the people's elbow, all of that, right? So I did all of that. And then at that point I realized, I said, even at the age of 10, even at the age of 12, I had somebody that looked up to me. I made an impact on her. She looked up to me. So what I'm sitting here and I'm telling you is, whether you see it or not, whether you're speaking from this stage or you're sitting in those chairs, somebody is looking up to you. You have a responsibility. You have a responsibility to do the best you can do because somebody is depending on you. Somebody is depending on you. And if you take it for granted, the person who's depending on you to make it, to do something, is going to be disappointed because you didn't give it all you had. And that would be a shame that that happened. Understand your impact is huge, and it doesn't necessarily need to be you have an audience of 1 million people. It can start with the person right in your backyard, the person you live with, your neighbor, your cousin, a friend, but they're depending on you. And there's a reason that they mimic you for that. So before I go to the P, I want to play a video. You can just click it again and it should start playing.
I wanted to enlighten you on some things, you know. The other day I was working out, I was in the gym, I was doing squats, you know, down 1, 2. I get to 20, 21, by 22, I get down and I felt like I couldn't get up, right? And I had a spotter there with me who kind of helped me up. He pushed me, he said, it was all hard from here. Keep going, keep pushing, keep moving forward. And I want you to picture this in life. Sometimes when you think that you mentally can't do it, or you think you physically can't do it anymore, sometimes you need that spotter in your life. Sometimes you need that person who's gonna drive you, who's gonna motivate you, who's gonna push you to that next level, to help you up. You know, a lot of times we hang around the people that will see you, you know, struggling, and they'll just look at you like, damn, why you put so much weight on, you know? Why are you going so hard? Those are the people you need to get away from. When you're around the right people who will constantly push you and elevate you and motivate you, you'll have people who will help you, who will tell you, you know, it's all hard from here. Continue to push forward. I got your back. Those are the people that you need, right? Because when I was down there, the only thing I could think about at the time, I was like, I'm not sure if I can do this. And if it wasn't for him, if it wasn't for my spotter that was there, who told me it was all hard from here, who pushed me, who said I had your back, I don't think I was gonna be able to get up, because that's not where I was, right? And mentally we're there sometimes in life, right? We have the weight of the world on our shoulders sometimes. So we get down, sometimes we think that it's impossible to get back up. I can't do this anymore. This is too hard. This is too difficult. When in reality, we had someone who had our backs, who could push us, who could motivate us to do these things and to help us elevate. We can take on the world. Right, and I want you to think about that. Make sure you have the right people who have your back no matter what, all the time. Because anything that you put your mind to, you can accomplish, and you need the right people to have your back in order to get that done.
So I created this video about, give or take, a year ago, right? And I spoke to you and I mentioned my coach all the time. And in the words of the late great D.I.P, he said, and I'm paraphrasing, but he said something to the effect of, if you have a circle that's not allowing you to grow, you don't have a circle, you have a cage. Who are the people that surround you? Because the reality is, sometimes you can't do it on your own. You're gonna go through these cycles. Now, do you have somebody that's gonna spot you, that's gonna help you when you get up, or are you gonna have the person that says, oh, that's too, I don't know why you put so much weight on, that's too heavy. Why do you want to start this business? Why do you want to do this? Oh, that idea is corny, that idea is whack. Are you gonna have those people in your life, or are you gonna have the people around you that's going to tell you, hey, I got you, what do you need from me? How can I help you up? So it's a matter of really figuring out what that looks like for you. So the last slide is called process, right? So to end off, the process is trust the process. Process is sticking to a long-term plan even in the face of bad short-term outcomes. Here's what I'm telling you. Unfortunately, you guys have grown up in this microwave society, this technology, this IG, where you see all this success and you don't see the actual work that gets put in. One of the 7 wonders of the world, the pyramids, 7 wonders? I think 7. Yeah, 7 wonders. The pyramids, it said that it took 20 years to build and 100,000 men. One of the longest standing structures of its time currently. But you think it took 20 years, you think after the first year, like, you actually saw something of relevance? Because you really think that, wow, these pyramids that were built in year 1 was gonna look as amazing as it was in year 20? A lot of you are not giving yourselves time to grow. You're planting and you're watering, and because it's not growing as quickly as you want it to, you're so quick to turn around and give up. You're so quick to move on. I don't know if you guys drive, but you can even think about it with MTA. If you have a destination and it takes you an hour, say you have a big interview, for example, and it takes you say from door to door, it's gonna take me an hour. Don't you allot yourself more time than an hour, just in case? right, to account for train delays, roadblocks. You allot yourself more time than the hour because you understand that the end goal is to get to my final destination. I know that it's not going to happen right away, but I'm willing to put in the work to make sure that it happens, so I'm going to allot myself the time. So when you have your certain goals, your aspirations, your dreams, and it doesn't happen in the amount of time, do you just turn around and go back home? Or do you understand that, hey, it may take longer than I want? Right? A lot of you will turn around and say, man, this is taking too long, I'm going home. My goal wasn't that important. The interview wasn't that important. I'd rather go home. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, and we basically lived for the summertime, right? So in the summertime, I was one of those kids, and I was like 9, 10, 11, 12. The girls would double dutch, we would play basketball, but I was one of those kids that would, find the snails and put salt on them, or see ants and like step on them. I was pretty destructive, right? I was a destructive kid. But what I noticed that was so profound, when I saw these ants doing what they do, worker ants, making sure they're good for the winter. I remember stepping on them, and then once I started stepping on them, chaos. They went all over the place. I killed a lot of them. Some of them scattered. I went away to go play ball, because that's what we did in the summer. And when I came back, they were back to working. I don't know if any of you have seen that or done that before, and you stepped on it and then you notice like, these ants are actually going back to work. Because they understand that their goal, their mission, is to make sure that they have food for the winter. So yes, adversity happens, things happen. No one is immune to hard times. I don't care who you are or what you're going through, you're not the first to go through it, you won't be the last to go through it. That's the reality. But how you triumph over those hard times is what's going to make or break you. Those ants, when I came back and I saw them working, I was like, well, hey, these ants are persistent. They're going to keep working regardless. Even sometimes they may do a new path, sometimes they may do some different things, but the fact is they have that end goal in mind. So it doesn't matter what happens to them. They know that their end goal is more important than what's there and what's the reality. And what does that look like for you? I get it, you're going through things. I understand, I'm not saying you're not. Another one of my mentors, he showed me something that illuminated a lot for me. He said, anybody play darts before? So you play darts. So the idea of darts is to hit the bullseye, right? So there's everything around it and it's to hit the bullseye. So he said the problem with people, and he was speaking to me, but I'm going to say people for this, is we like to blame everything else. So when we're throwing the darts, I would hit everything but the bullseye. My parents didn't like me. I grew up in a single parent home. I didn't have money. This person doesn't like me. Wrong side road. Instead of hitting the bullseye, at no point did I say, hey, it's me. You're the bullseye. Great, situations happen. Yeah, you may have grown up on the wrong side of the track. Yes, you're a minority. This may have happened. You've been to jail. You've seen it. I get it. I've gotten pulled over by police, driving while black incident, placed in handcuffs. I got it. Right? Situations happen. But at no point am I going to blame the situation for the outcome of what I want to create. Because everyone who's made it has gone through something. You can do your research. Phil Knight, the founder of Nike, Diddy, Nipsey. Do your research. Anyone who has gone through something and has made it, or success, whatever that looks like, what it looks like to them, has overcome some situation or circumstance. And if you're not willing to go through it, and you're willing to hit everything but the bullseye, you're going to be stuck in that same place. And you're going to continue to go have this up and down cycle. So it's a matter of what it is that you want. So I'm going to show this. I'm going to show it really quick. But I want to explain this. So I said in my head situations. So in 2016 or 17, I had surgery. I had cancer. A rare skin cancer is called dermatofibrosarcoma. Something like really crazy. 1 in 1 million people get it. Right? So it's very rare. It was so rare, I was like, man, I wish I played the lotto like that day, right? Because I thought I was lucky. But I remember before I actually had the surgery, I felt like something in my stomach. And I went to a few doctors, and each doctor told me, oh, don't worry about it, it's nothing. So my mom, I ended up speaking to my mom about it December 2015. She said, did you get it checked? I was like, I spoke to doctors. They said, don't worry about it, it's okay. She said, did you get it tested? I was like, no, but I talked to the doctor. She said, did you get it tested? I was like, no. She said, get it tested. I was like, all right, cool. So I go out and get it tested in April of 2016 or 2017. I think it's 2016. I get it tested, and I get it tested on this Monday, and on that Friday, I'm supposed to go to the DMV area. I'm supposed to go to Virginia, go to like some theme park, have some fun with some friends. I get it tested Monday. On Wednesday, the doctor gives me a call and he's like, hey, Mike. I was like, yeah, what's going on, doc? How's it going? He's like, yeah, you have cancer, we need to remove it, right? You do Mohs surgery. It's a high effect, it's the rate of like, not cure, but like removing it and stuff, like, you should be good, but you need to do this surgery. It's gonna be about 2 months recovery, don't worry about it. I was like, all right, cool, doc. She's like, can you come in tomorrow? I was like, well, I'm going on vacation. Like, can I do it next week? He's like, yeah, but I need you to do it like tomorrow if you can. I was like, but can I do it next week? He's like, yeah, sure. Hang up. I don't know, maybe it's the spirits, I don't know, but my mom called me like 5 minutes later, right? It was the weirdest thing. My mom called me, hey, how's it going? I was like, hey, what's going on, Mom? She was like, yeah, did you get it checked? I was like, yeah, the doctor just called me. She said, he said I have cancer. She's like, do I need to come up there? Because my mom lives in Florida, right? Do I need to come up there? I'm like, no, it's all right, cool, I'm getting it done next week. Like, why can't you get it done tomorrow? I was like, oh, you offered it tomorrow, but I'm going to a theme park, right? Because that's what's important, like the theme park. She said, no, you're doing it tomorrow. And I was like, I'm a grown man. Well, I didn't say that, but in my head I was thinking like, I'm a grown man. Long story short, I ended up getting it done the next day, right? So I ended up getting it done the next day. And what they had to do is they had to cut out the cancer. And when they cut it out the first time, which I don't have the picture there, but they had to test it and make sure that the cells weren't cancerous like around it. And if it was, they had to cut out a deeper spot. Like they had to cut it out again, like make it bigger. So the first time they cut it, and by the way, I'm awake for it all, right? So I'm awake, it's extremely painful. So they cut it out, they cut again, and that's this. And I'm kind of smiling here. I didn't even know my dad happened to come with me, and I'm smiling. But I remember specifically thinking during my pain was, man, I'm so fortunate because people with cancer, they don't make it. They have to have chemo, they have to do all of these things. And although my situation sucked, and although I was in pain, I knew that I wasn't unique to pain. I knew I wasn't unique to discomfort. I knew I wasn't unique to that. So I smiled at that situation, not because the situation wasn't important, because I know that I overcame that, and I will overcome it. So I don't know what trauma that you're going through currently. I don't know what's there for you. But just know that you're not the first, nor will you be the last to go through something. That's why I was able to write a book, right? That's why I was able to start a podcast and do it every week consistently. That's why I have a motivational album out. Because there's certain things that's important to me, and through difficult times, it doesn't matter. So I'm gonna wrap this up, but this is one of the things I live by. If it's meant to be, it's up to me. It's something that I recently learned in some training that I'm doing. If it's meant to be, it's up to me. Meaning no situation, circumstance, or adversity should stop you from creating or living the life that you want. There's nothing that you cannot do through this. I was doing videos just like that you saw for 2 years. I didn't know it was going to take me speaking to you here at BMCC. BMCC? Right? Close enough. I'm close enough, right? You got it, right? But I didn't know my point is I didn't know that it was going to take me there. I didn't create these videos to say, man, my end goal is to make sure I'm speaking at colleges. That was the outcome of me putting in work day in and day out and doing this. And having a mentor that allowed me and that pushed me and that motivated me to get things done each and every day. You gotta hang around with high frequency people. And if you're not hanging or being around people with high frequency, they're only pulling you down. You know, you hang in packs, right? There's a guy by the name of Kerwin Gray, phenomenal speaker in Australia. He said we all hang out in herds. And the thing with herds are, herds are good for two things. Bring you back into the herd. So when you get out of place, they're good to reel you back in. The problem is, if you're in a herd that you're better than, what they're gonna do is they're gonna do a good job of bringing you back down to their level. That means you need to find a new herd. And if you're in a herd that's pulling you down, bringing you back to their level when you're trying to elevate, then you're in the wrong place. You should always be in a herd, in a place where someone is always reaching to bring you up to their level. At no point in time should you be falling back into their level. So I want to leave you with this. If it's meant to be, if it's meant to be,
That's me.
there you go. First of all, thank you so much for your time. I do appreciate it. Thank you. I want to acknowledge a few people again. Thank you so much to your professors. I speak a lot about my coach and the last 2 years as to why things happen. Actually, he's recording, but the brother in the right corner there, his name is Anthony Manaya. He's actually the one that pushed me through when I absolutely had no idea what I wanted to do or what my gifts were. And he poured into me selflessly. And I'm able to do a lot of things that I'm doing. A lot of the successes that I've had over the last 2 years is in direct correlation to him helping me and him pushing me. So really get to a place where you can get a coach, you can find someone to push you, to motivate you, to inspire you, to be better. Because regret is always worse than fear. Right? You don't want to look back at your life and say, I wish I did this, when you had the opportunity to do it. So make sure you take that in, you soak that in, really apply what your professors are giving you, and get around the right people. So again, thank you so much for your time.